Product selection is arguably one of the most important decisions you're going to make for your Amazon business. And there are a lot of factors to consider in making this decision. Do you know what they are? Well, today I'm going to go through how I make my product selections and the key data points that I consider to choose the products that are going to succeed on Amazon. Welcome to AMZ Unlocked. I'm your host, Kimberly Locke, and today we are going to be doing a deep dive in product research. It is one of my favorite activities and something I really love doing for my own Amazon business. But I got to be completely honest with you because that's what I'm all about. There is no BS here. You're not always going to win, but you can stack the deck in your favor if you really consider some key data points when you're making your product selection. And we're going to go through the process I use to select my products today. But before we get to the data points, there are a few other factors that you need to have in mind before you start your search. I've said before, there's been a shift in the way we do product selection these days in an Amazon business. We don't just look at the data first. We have to consider the customer. So you have to start with your customer. You need to know who your customer is. You're building a brand. That's what it takes to succeed on Amazon today. You can't just go find products off of the shelf, chuck them into Amazon and expect to be successful. You really have to consider building a brand, building that whole package and creating a brand experience. But to do that, you have to know who your customer is. So you have to develop that customer avatar. You need to know demographics about them. You need to know their lifestyle. You need to know what matters to them. And you need to know the things that they're going to really invest in to make their life better. What problems do they have? What areas of their life are they passionate about? You can solve a pain point or you can induce pleasure with your product. If they have a hobby, say they're an avid gardener, what kind of gardening implements or products could you create to really enrich their life in their garden? And they would become a brand ambassador because they love it and it really induces so much pleasure in their life and improves their gardening experience. They will shout it from the rooftops to all of their friends who are also gardeners. So there's a method to the madness of creating a brand. You really can engender that brand loyalty if you do it well and really consider who your customer is first. Beyond that, you have to think about some real solid financial decisions. This is a real business. You have to make a capital investment. You have to have funds to invest in this. And there's a lot of costs that people don't think about, and that can lead to a lot of trouble and cause problems in their Amazon business when they go to launch. So you need to know what your capital investment amount is. What can you actually invest in this? And if you can't do $10,000 minimum, then this may not be the business opportunity for you. But that's not always the case. There are other markets that do have a lower budget threshold, something like an emerging market like Australia. But for the United States, $10,000 minimum is where I would start. So you know your total amount, but you need to be able to break that down into the different components. So you need to know what those components are. Of course, you're going to have to purchase your product. You're going to have your manufacturing costs. In that, you're going to also have inspection costs. You want to have your product inspected potentially during the manufacture. You may even want to have the factory inspected before you place your purchase order. So you might have a factory inspection. You might have a production inspection while someone is there while the products are actually being produced. And then a final inspection before it gets put onto the ship or goes to whatever warehouse that you're going to be using if you're staying in China with your warehousing. You're also going to need to consider your packaging. So I've gotten products from Amazon that I've bought. One that comes to mind was a lunchbox, and it came, and it was a really cute lunchbox, but it came in the Amazon box, and it was in a plastic sleeve with a little barcode sticker on the plastic sleeve, and that was it. I was like, wow, they didn't even try. So they missed a lot of opportunity to really merchandise and create that brand experience by having basically no effort into their packaging. Now, we've all heard about what we like to refer to back in the height of the pandemic as Shipageddon. So logistics can be a real nightmare, but you have to consider the different parts of the logistics process in getting your products from your manufacturer to the fulfillment centers in Amazon. Now, I've talked about it in a recent podcast, so I'll put the link up for that, where I spoke with Jamie Peros of SKUdrop, and this is arguably an absolute disruptor to the logistics space. It is a completely different way to ship your products, and it's the way that the Eastern sellers do it. So they store their products in a warehouse in China. So if you're getting your products manufactured in China, which most people do because China basically can make anything, you can store it in a warehouse in China, and then you ship in your initial order, and then from then forward, you're shipping in a little bit every week, just drip feeding it in. And the freight costs for that are so much less than having to put out the money for a full 40-foot or 20-foot container to ship everything all at once to America. That ties up your money, and you need to maintain cash flow to keep your business running. So this is a complete game changer as far as cash flow. So you store your products in the warehouse in China, you send your initial order in, and then every week, based on your sales velocity, you're sending in a little bit more. So you're not using Amazon as a warehouse, because they're not meant to be a warehouse. They're meant to be a fulfillment center. So you use that less expensive 3PL or third-party logistics warehouse in China, which is so much less expensive than any of the warehouses that I've used in the past in America. And so this is going to not only make your Amazon happy because you're getting things there just in time, you're keeping your inventory performance index high, and you are not using them as a warehouse because they're not meant to be one. So it's going to make your logistics situation better, and it's going to make your cash flow situation better. But you need to consider all of the costs involved in this, getting this to Amazon, because it's going to be a while before you're pulling any money out of your business. Another area that I have seen a lot of sellers really struggle with is knowing their duties and tariffs. You have to find this out before you even place your order. I spoke with one seller who had placed their order, it was already manufactured, and then they found out that they had an additional 25% tariff on top of the regular duties that their product was going to incur. That will completely blow up your profit margins. We're talking like, boom, done. You have no profit anymore. So you have to know what that is, and you need to take that into consideration before you place your product order. You need to know, are the costs going to be something that you can bear and sell and make a profit for? Once you get your product to Amazon, you're going to have launch expenses. You're going to need to have photography done before it gets to Amazon. So while it's being manufactured, you have your sample, you can get your product photography done with that, and you need to get that all sorted with your infographics and your A+ content and all of that in place before your products get to Amazon. So you've got all that photography expense and the graphic design for getting your infographics and A+ content, your brand story elements, all of that is going to take time and money to create. And then once you go live, you're going to have expenses such as the Vine program, which is Amazon's compliant way to get reviews right off the bat. You can allot a certain number of your products to go to Vine reviewers. Amazon will give them to them. They will then put up a review, but it costs money to do this. So you have to consider that. You also have to consider advertising. A while back, people would launch and would not start advertising until they had reviews, but you can't do that anymore. You have to start with your Amazon PPC. You also can benefit from driving external traffic to your listings. So you could have Google ads or Facebook ads or Instagram ads. You could have all of this type of external advertising as well as the Amazon PPC that you need to budget for and make sure that you can afford that. And then you need to consider you're going to need to place your second order very soon because it's going to take time depending on your lead time. Most lead times are going to be 30 days or more. It's very rare that you have a product that the lead time is going to be less. So you need to make sure that you have time for it to be manufactured and get to the warehouse in China if you're using SKUdrop, and get it so it's available to go into Amazon before your first order runs out. So you really have to look at the calendar and plan out all of these timings and make sure that you know what's what and that you are planning to have the funds available to place that. Most of the time when you place an order, you're going to need to put down a 30% deposit just to get the manufacturing started. Then once the manufacturing is finished, you typically have to pay the remaining balance. As you develop a relationship with your manufacturers, you can negotiate these terms and maybe extend out the time a little bit longer on when you have to pay the balance. But from the beginning, it's typically 30% when you place your order, 70% when it is shipped. Now, we are going to dive into the computer and I'm going to show you exactly how I do my product research in Amazon Live. All right, so we are in Amazon on the US platform, and I have selected the product maternity pillow. Now, as we've talked about before, you really want to make sure that you are thinking about your avatar first. And this is a really great avatar. The maternity niche is really very lucrative. There's a lot of great products and people really care about the products that they're going to get when they're pregnant or for their babies, or, you know, at the very beginning when they first bring the baby home. So this is a niche that has a lot of potential. So let's take a look at the maternity pillow niche. I have just gone ahead and selected this on Amazon, and we'll just scroll through here. And you can see there's a lot of sameness. You know, there's a lot of gray pillows. That one's green. So there's not a lot of visual differentiation in these. You know, a few different shapes. You know, this one kind of has more of a C curve to it, where this one is a lot longer and more straight. And then you've even got these that are just little, just belly supporters basically, and not the whole big pillow. So but amongst all of these, there's not a lot of differentiation. So there is definitely a way that you could come in here and make this look attractive and, you know, I think differentiate it where it's going to stand out on the page with maybe a little bit of color, a nice pattern. You know, there's a few websites you can go to, and Creative Market is one of them, and you can see what are the trending patterns and colors, and that you might be able to do something a little bit different that stands out on the page. Now let's take a look. The first thing that I always do after this is the first thing I do, is I take a look and see, is there a way to differentiate the product visually so it can stand out on the page? Like I've said, Amazon is like the dating app of shopping, and you don't want them to swipe the wrong way, and you want them to click on your product, so it needs to jump off the page. You know, this one is a really pretty soft pink. That one's about the only one I saw that has a color other than like a drab kind of gray, blue, or green. So the next thing I do after I see if I can visually differentiate it is I take a look at the ZonGuru Chrome extension, and I already have that installed here, and I've already loaded it up. It may take a couple minutes to load, but this is our niche score, and this is broken down in 4 different components: buyer demand, competition opportunity, investment sweet spot, and revenue potential. And you can see the demand and the revenue are both quite high, and the competition opportunity and the investment sweet spot are both low. Now, you want to make sure that all of these numbers are high, or at least overall it's high or something you can work within. So the overall niche score is 60%. I wouldn't look at anything less than 50%. So I would take a look at this further. So I see it has good buyer demand, and that's because you've got a search volume of over 23,000 a month. Then your revenue potential, the revenue potential here is 100,000. That's the average revenue of the sellers on page 1. But then you look at the competition opportunity and the investment sweet spot. So the ratings are quite high, and that's what we're looking at when we look at the competition opportunity. So there are sellers on this page that are really well entrenched and really doing a great job. But that doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to say no go to this. It depends on my confidence in my skill and what I'm seeing on the page. So we'll look at that a little bit further. The next one, which was the investment sweet spot, is talking about your launch budget. And I spoke about that earlier. This figure does not consider any of those other factors. This figure is based on 30% of the sales price. They're assuming that that would be the manufacturing price. And then based on the sales velocity of the page, how much inventory you would have to purchase to stay in stock for 3 months to allow you time to place that second order. So that's a pretty healthy launch budget, but I might have that kind of funds. This may be my second brand. I may have, sold my first brand and have the funds available to invest that much into something that I feel really strongly about. So we're going to assume for this example that launch budget, we're okay with that. And that works with the amount of capital that we're happy to invest in this product. Now, the ratings. What I like to do is, as you can see, we've got all of the products listed here, and some of the ratings are ridiculously high, 84,000 ratings. This is the #1 clicked listing for this keyword. That's a lot of ratings. They've been in this business for a long time. Let's just see how long. Yeah, since 2019. So they've been here for a while. But what I like to do is you can sort this by your ratings. So I'll sort that. There we go. All right. So this is still page 1. We have a product right here. This pregnancy pillow. They only have 4 ratings, and they're making $11,000 a month. They're making 251 sales a month. That's not bad. That tells me that I could get into this product with this keyword and I can compete on page 1, because there are sellers that don't have a huge number of ratings that are still making sales. I mean, look at this one, 19 reviews or ratings and sales of 1,223 a month. So again, there is room. So what I like to do is I reverse sorted it. So I've got this lowest number of ratings first, and I just kind of look through and see how many there are that have maybe less than 500 or less than 1,000 that are still making sales. It's one thing to be on the page potentially, but not be making sales. But like here, 377 ratings, 3,000 sales. There's room on this page for someone to launch and get in if they have a really great product, a really great listing, and a good offer, and be able to compete. So I'm not too concerned about the ratings or the competition opportunity here. This is one that I feel confident with my skills that I could get in and I could still win on. Now, one of the things, let's sort it back now by revenue. So we've got the highest revenue and we can see the best selling products. And what we want to do is add those to our sales spy. So this little plus sign here means you can add this product to sales spy. So you can take a look at their sales over time, because this is showing you what's happening right now. We want to look at the historical data as well. So let's add a few of these. So this one, we'll add that one. So we'll just add a few of these to Sales Spy. And most of these are the big pillows. I want to get this one. See, this is the 3rd top clicked listing for this keyword. So I'm going to add that. And I do want to get a few of those, a few different shapes. So this is more of the C shape. There's another one of the little small pillows. So we've added a few of those. Oh, let's get a couple more. All right, so we've added those to Sales Spy. So now I've taken a look at this, and I feel like for me, I could continue on with this product. Nothing so far has told me, no, I don't want to go forward. Now, that may not be the same for you. 60,000 launch budget may be, whoa, no thank you. And so you move on to something else. But I've cleared it through this phase. So now I'm going to take a look at it in ZonGuru and go a little bit further. Now, something else I have already done as well is, let's take a look. Go back this way. So I have taken right here, you can click this little button and copy the selected ASINs. And I have taken 50 of the top selling ASINs and I've put them into another one of the tools in ZonGuru that we'll take a look at in a minute as well. But let's start with Sales Spy and take a look at the historical data first. So here we are in ZonGuru. And as you can see, the tools are listed to the left side. If you've never been to ZonGuru, I highly recommend. This is one of the best researching tools on the market. It has got some amazing capabilities. We're going to focus on the researcher aspect. So they have two different plans. You can be a researcher or a seller. And while you're shopping for your products and trying to do all your product research and placing your orders, and until you're actually live, the researcher plan is really all you need. Once you move up and you're actually selling, then you'll want to start using your business metrics tools, your monitoring and alerts, and your customer engagement tools. But we're not going to dive into those today. I'll save that for a future video. We're going to take a look at product research. So it's very, very intuitive. You just start at the top and work your way down. So if we didn't have any idea for what we wanted, but we knew we wanted to maybe look at the maternity and baby space, we could go to Niche Finder and we could put in some parameters based on the sales price of the product, the number of sales per month, the niche score, all of those factors we could put into that, and it would just generate ideas. And that can be a rabbit hole in and of itself. So I didn't do that live in this video, but I did that beforehand. So I'll do a video on that to show you guys how much fun it is to get into the Niche Finder tool. We started straight up with the Chrome extension, using it actually on the Amazon platform, finding out what the sales data is right now. And then we added some of those products to Sales Spy, and that's where we're at now. So you can see the products that I've added. I'm going to change the time frame here. I like to look at the last year so I can really see sales trends, see if there's spikes, see if there's any seasonality to it. I wouldn't expect there to be seasonality in a maternity product because people are having babies all year long, but sometimes there might be some seasonality or some sales spikes at certain times of the year that you want to know about. So always look at least at the last year. So what we have here is the price of the product, how many sales they're making a month, and then it breaks it down to how many sales they're making per day, then their revenue per month and per day, and then the estimated profit. Now let's click on our little graph button here and it will open up our historical sales data. And I love this because I can do this for several of them and just scroll up and down and take a look. So the yellow bars, that is the revenue. That tells you on any given day how much revenue they generated. The blue down here at the bottom, this light colored blue, that is the number of sales that they made on any given day. And then the dark green, that is their BSR, or best seller rank. Now, that is something that's kind of tough to wrap your head around sometimes when you're first learning all of the things that go into Amazon product research. The lower your BSR is, the better. So, you would want to be ranked, say, number 1. I've never come across a product yet that had a BSR of 1. But you can see right here on this day, July 15th, 2022, they had a BSR of 658. So that's an incredibly good ranking. And these are going to fluctuate day to day. But this can show you how they fluctuated. So you can see the up and down of it. So looking at this, I don't see any huge drops. So it doesn't look seasonal, but it looks like they had a bit of a bump in July and in August. And if I remember correctly, Prime Day was in July in 2022. Looks like they had a bit of a bump in May. That would have probably been Mother's Day. And then you can see they've had some holiday spikes here too. So let me just move my arrow out of the way so you can see. So in December here, looks like they had a pretty good holiday season, and it still carried on into February. So yeah, pretty consistent sales there. Now let's take a look at the comparison of this little pillow. So I can open that, and as you can see, I can just go back and forth between the two. Now it looks like they may have launched, oh yep, see they launched in March of 2021. So they were still climbing. They may have been recovering from an out of stock period of time there. But then they gained traction and they kept going, and looks like they did pretty well. So again, doesn't look like it's a seasonal thing. They may have had some sort of issue with supply. Again, this one looks quite solid. So this is giving you a lot of information, and you can also see, this is unique too, how many sellers are selling this product. So they haven't really differentiated this. There's 4 sellers selling this product. This one, there's only 1. So they may have created this design, this pattern, and it's quite unique to just their brand. This one, another one, only 1 seller. So this will tell you, what type of sellers that you might be looking at. Some of these could be, wholesale or arbitrage, and that's not an area I like to go into. I like to be the only seller in the space. So again, 3 sellers here. But this has given us a lot of good data. So this is telling me that their sales are quite consistent throughout the year. Looks like there are people that are coming in maybe after and still recovering after some issues, maybe stock issues. So that's not a problem there for me. So this has passed this level of test. So I'm ready to move on to the next stage. Is it going to pass the next phase? And that is the LoveHate. Okay, so I was satisfied with the data that I got out of Chrome extension and Sales Spy. So I'm ready to take it to the next layer of evaluation and determine if I want to continue moving forward with this product. And that is the LoveHate tool in ZonGuru. So I've done this ahead of time because it takes a while. As you can see, I've got one that's actually still working. But I've taken 50 ASINs from that Chrome extension, and I've popped them in here. And what this does is it data mines all of the reviews of these ASINs. Now, I could also just add products by phrases, but I've gone ahead and done it with the exact ASINs that were the top sellers on that page. So let's take a look and see what it shows. Now, this is definitely one where you want to put in up to that full 50 ASINs, because the more reviews you have to evaluate from, the better your data is going to be. So this looks at all of the 4 and 5 star reviews and all of the 1 and 2 star reviews, and it creates a word cloud out of that. And then it shows you could click on any of these words and it shows you what the reviews said about that. So here we go. Let's take a look at hip pain. Now this is going to give you clues for things that you want to be addressing when you develop your own product. So hip pain, night sleep, that's something that sounds intriguing. So let's take a look here and see. So no more back and hip pain at night. So they've done a good job of addressing that problem for this customer. This niche would have a real gas factor or, give a shit factor for back and hip pain. If you've never been pregnant, you don't understand, but if you have, you absolutely identify with me here. Your back and your hips hurt and it makes it difficult to sleep. And this is solving a real significant problem for these women. Now, looking over here at the hate, this is where, so the love is going to tell you things that other products are doing well that you want to make sure that your product is going to do also. But the hate is going to tell you where they're having problems and where you can get in and you can be better than they are. So, zipper broke. So that's an issue. So love the pillow at first, but after one washing, the zipper broke and now the cover won't stay on. So that's not good. You want to make sure that you're addressing that when you do your inspections. So it looks like that happened for a few here. And this is right. If you keep scrolling, you would see different products coming through. Zipper broke the first week. Stitching has already ripped. So very cheaply made. So you want to make sure that you're addressing these things when you create your product. Poor quality. Again, another issue there. Body pillow. Let's see what they have to say there. Don't let the misleading photo fool you into thinking that this is some deep plush body pillow that you or your significant other will seek into. It arrives flat and lumpy like any other lame, lumpy, unsupportive pillow. Wow. Okay. So again, a quality issue here. So again, a firmness issue. All right. So this one, they love it, but they've given it a 2-star. That's really strange. So that looks like a pretty positive review, but they've only given it 2 stars. So that's a bit different. So as you can see, this is very powerful. It's going to tell you, are there ways that you can compete? Can you match the standards that are set under the love section? And can you improve on what is being done with the hate section? So the zipper broke. Maybe you consider not even having a zipper. Maybe you consider a cover that uses Velcro instead. So it's an easier on and off process. So that's something that would be unique, and you could absolutely display that in your images. So this is showing me that there are definitely some areas, there are room for improvement based on these reviews. I would spend some more time going through and finding out exactly why and what the problems are and what I could do to make sure that my pillow was absolutely taking care and addressing all of these issues. And then I would be ready to move on to sourcing. Now, ZonGuru does have the easy source tool, which is quite good. Let's type in maternity pillow and see what we get. So this is partnered with Alibaba, which is a place that I like to go to start my product search. You can also use a sourcing agent, or you could go to a site like 1688. It's a little bit trickier on 1688 because it is written in Chinese, so you have to translate, and some of the terminology may not translate. Maternity pillow may not be what they call it in Chinese, so it may take a little bit of extra work, but definitely worth looking into. But this at least gives you a ballpark for the price of what it's going to take to get this product sourced and manufactured. So their price, $5.69 to $9.99. And their MOQ, that's the minimum order quantity, is less than 500. So the higher order, the lower the price. Their lead time is only 7 days. So there's nothing, this would be just right off the shelf. But let's see, it doesn't tell you here, but you could definitely contact them and see if they could do a custom pattern perhaps. And take a look. This is also a bamboo pregnancy pillow. So that's a unique thing. Maybe that wasn't anything like that on page 1, and that could be a real differentiation for you getting onto page 1 with a bamboo pregnancy pillow. This will also tell you a little bit about the company. So they are definitely a manufacturer and not a trade company, which you want to go directly to the manufacturer to get the best pricing. They've been on Alibaba for 4 years. And you can see they're making products in this niche. So this is something that they know well. So that would be someone that I would definitely take a look at and speak to and contact. Here's another one, 6 years. We've got a good rating. So they will accept customized logo, they'll accept a custom color, and they'll accept a custom sample. So that's excellent. Now they didn't say that on this page, but on this manufacturer, but that doesn't mean that they won't. So it's always worth reaching out to them and starting that conversation and establishing that relationship and seeing what your options are. So this is a great place to start using the Easy Source tool. So you can see we have taken you from the very beginning, establishing who your customer is, finding a product in the niche, and evaluating it through several different layers of data to find out if this is a product that you want to actually move forward for and get a sample, which that would be your next step. Contact some manufacturers, look at getting samples, get some actual quotations for different quantities. I always like to ask them for a quote on multiple quantities at the beginning. Say 1,000, 5,000, 10,000. That way you know where that price is going to go when you're able to start making bigger orders. So that is definitely something to consider when you're first making that contact with a manufacturer. If you just reach out to them and ask them, if you see the minimum order quantity is 500 and you just ask them for 500, and then down the road you want to place an order for 2,000 and they're quoting you the same price, you don't have any wiggle room, as much wiggle room as if you had asked them up front, 10,000 would be this much. And then you could say, no, this is what you said it would be for 10,000. This is the price that I want to get. So you have that negotiation tool at your disposal when you get that information up front at the beginning. So I hope this has been helpful, and you can see how I go through my own process of picking my customer and my customer avatar, finding a product that really matters to them, and going through all the layers and evaluating the data as I go at each step to determine if I'm going to keep going. I hope you've gotten value out of today's video and our journey through product research. Now, I know we didn't cover everything. There is so much involved in product research, but I think this was a really good place to start and get you familiar with what it takes. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, and don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you get notified of future videos like this one.